Hello and welcome to episode 39 of IOnTheTigers, a podcast all about the National Ice Hockey League, but one that always has an eye on the Telford Tigers. As always, what we'll do is we'll kick off with the news from around the league, and contract extensions are featuring heavily at the moment. Bees definitely got in on the act for contract extensions. 3 contract extensions announced for the Bees. So Stuart Mogg, Liam Morris and Dominic Gabage will all be extending their stay at the Bees for another year. In terms of year extensions, Jarvis Hunt has also agreed one with the Peterborough Phantoms, whilst Deck Jones up at the Hull Seahawks has extended his stay there for 2 years. So 5 new re-signings for the 2024-25 season, and of course beyond, in the case of Deck Jones. Certainly been picking up over the past few weeks. Rosters are starting to take shape for next year. Be interesting to see who else gets announced in the upcoming weeks. For the Tigers, we know that Brad Day signed a 2-year deal at the start of this season, and certainly, as far as I'm aware, he's the only player that we have confirmed for next season yet. So will we see something from the Tigers? I don't know. Speaking of Tigers, let's kick off with Tigers 2, already crowned champions, so they're playing out the remaining league games till the playoffs start. This week it was a trip up to Bradford to take on the Bradford Bulldogs. Plenty of goals in this one, and perhaps unusually for the Tigers 2, reasonably evenly shared as well, as it finished Bulldogs 5, Tigers 2 8. So another win there for Tigers 2. We've got just one league game left this season, and that's the coming weekend. Going to the National League, what we'll do is we'll kick off with the results from the past week, and the action started on Friday night. It was a bit of a bumper Friday night with 3 separate games going. We'll kick off with, certainly in my opinion, the biggest game of the weekend. Bees against the Raiders, 7th against 8th. Lots and lots to play for in this one. Win this one, and it gives you a really good position, I think, heading into closing couple of weeks of the season. Lose, and you're definitely going to be looking over your shoulders. It was a home win. The Bees won 4-2 to steal a little march there on the Raiders. Pitbulls, they were at home to the Seahawks. Now, I know I said the Tigers too had plenty of goals, but it doesn't even come anywhere near to the Pitbulls against the Seahawks. Pitbulls 6, Seahawks 12. What a scoreline. Special shout out as well to Emil Svetch, who scored 6 goals for the Seahawks. Double hat trick's pretty rare. I think I saw he also picked up a couple of assists, 2 or 3 assists as well on the night. So he had a reasonable night. Must admit, I didn't check for Man of the Match awards, but if he didn't get it for Hull, I would love to know who did. So if it wasn't Svetch, please do share with me who it was, and perhaps more importantly, how they got over a man who got a double hat trick. Final game of the Friday evening, the Steel Dogs were at home. They were hosting the Wildcats, and that one finished Steel Dogs 4, Wildcats 7. On to Saturday night, and we'll kick off with the Tigers. The Tigers travelled down to Peterborough. Phantom scored first. Tigers equalised. They levelled it up. End of the first, it was 1-1. Tigers got 2 goals relatively early in the second period, and then as the period was coming towards an end, it turned out that leaving Luke Ferrara unmarked on the far post was not conducive to keeping the score down, and he pulled a goal back. So the second finished 3-2 to the Tigers, and that's how it stayed. No goals in the third period. So a great win there on the road for the Tigers. At the Phantoms, not one that I had predicted, so very, very happy with that. To be honest, I just think, particularly in the second period, we just outworked the Phantoms. Seemed to be winning sort of all the little battles, so pretty much everything we hadn't done up in Sheffield last Sunday, we did, and good stuff happened. Long may that continue. So, with that win, if the Sharks had lost, it's playoff time for the Tigers, absolutely guaranteed. The Sharks were hosting the Bees, and the Sharks won 5-2 on home ice. So an important win for them. It still keeps the Tigers mathematically at risk of not qualifying for the playoffs. Raiders, they had lost the previous night. They won on Saturday night, though. They were hosting the Pitbulls, and a pretty resounding 10-4 win there on home ice for them. The Lightning were hosting the Knights. Leeds win, and it's a second consecutive title heading to Leeds. Knights scored 4, but Lightning got 7. They might win the league, but it's not going to be on Milton Keynes ice. That's a good win for Milton Keynes there, and I think I'm correct in saying that means they've won all 3 of their home games against Leeds this season. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I got that wrong, but yeah, I feel pretty confident in saying that without having checked it. Final game of Saturday night, Wildcats hosted the Steel Dogs. Pretty similar to the night before. Main difference, I guess, probably the fact that it was down in Swindon and there was a goal less. Wildcats 7, Steel Dogs 3. Sunday night, Tigers took on the Sharks. A Tigers win, and they are mathematically in the playoffs, cannot be caught by the Sharks. Finished 3-3. Went to overtime. Penalty shot, Vladimir Luka. Do I need to explain what happens next? No, not really. It goes in. Tigers have made it. They have qualified for the playoffs. They are mathematically there. Worst they can do now is finish 8th. Don't think they will because, well, realistically, I think we've got more chance of finishing 5th, really. But we'll get onto that in just a moment. So, Raiders took on the Phantoms. It was a 5-1 win for the Raiders. So, another good showing on home ice for them. So, a 4-point weekend for the Tigers. No points for the Phantoms means that Tigers are now only 2 points off of 5th place. Interesting. For the past few weeks, perhaps been looking over our shoulders a little bit more. Now, very much, I think, looking up. 5th place does seem very much a possibility and realistic, I think. Watch this space. Let's see what happens. Knights hosted the Bees. Bees win keeps them very much not so much looking over their shoulders, shall we perhaps say. A Knights win means it is a second consecutive title for them. It went as I think we'd all expect there. Knights 6, Bees 3. Comfortable enough for the Knights, and they secured the title. Congratulations to the Knights. They've definitely been the team to beat, to stop all season. Personally, I know at the start of the season I tipped them to finish 2nd, but congratulations. They've just been relentless week in, week out. Yeah, they've just churned results out and fully deserved for them. Final 2 games of Sunday. Seahawks hosted the Wildcats, and this one finished Seahawks 6, Wildcats 4. Meanwhile, the Steel Dogs hosted the Lightning, and that will finish Steel Dogs 2, Lightning 6. So that concludes the results. Looking ahead to the upcoming week, the action begins Wednesday evening, tomorrow night. Well, a couple of nights' time as I'm recording this, but tomorrow night for when it becomes live and you're able to watch it. So, the Seahawks against the Lightning, first leg of the Cup. Seahawks are going to scrape a narrow victory on home ice, which is going to make for a cracking second leg. There's my prediction there. Friday evening, Pitbulls against the Wildcats. I mean, Pitbulls can be a bit of a bogey team for the Wildcats, but the second... The thing is, I always say this, you can't see beyond the Wildcats win, but yeah, the Pitbulls have pulled it out. But no, this time the Wildcats are going to win at Bristol. Saturday, Sharks take on the Tigers. I fancy us to get something up at Solway. Might only be a point, perhaps lose in overtime or on penalties, but I fancy us to get at least a point. And in fact, I'm going to be confident we're going to get 2 points. Go to overtime, but yeah, we're going to get a couple of points. We're going to win in overtime, we're going to win on penalties. Yeah, confident there. Raiders host the Bees. This is absolutely massive. 2 points separate them. Raiders 2 points ahead of the Bees, who are 2 points ahead of the Sharks. Raiders are going to win that one. On home ice, they're going to beat the Bees. There we go. Come straight out with it. Yeah, can very much see that happening. Wildcats host the Lightning. This is an interesting little fixture. Where to go on this one? I mean, you can kind of see any result, any scoreline, really. But I will go for the Lightning to win narrowly, purely because the result against Hull, with that narrow loss that I predicted, is going to mean they're going to be out and looking to hit some form ahead of the second leg. Seahawks host the Phantoms. Seahawks going to win that one. Which is going to put the Tigers and Phantoms level on points. Very, very interesting now. And then last but not least, Steel Dogs host the Knights. Leeds to win that one. Sunday evening, Tigers host the Seahawks. It's a tough one. Lots of signs that perhaps point towards Seahawks win. My big hope, and maybe I don't need to hope so much, but yeah, Seahawks a bit distracted. They're aware that the second leg of the Cup's coming up. Yeah, Tigers to pip it. There we are. Tigers to pip it on home ice. Seahawks fraction distracted with the Cup. Tigers are going to pip it on home ice. Bees host the Sharks. This game, I think, is going to be absolutely massive, primarily because I think whoever wins this will finish 8th in the league, or will go on to finish 8th in the league. And I think it's going to be the Bees. I think the Bees will do it on home ice. Phantoms host the Raiders. I can see the Raiders winning that one. I really can. Yeah, Raiders will win that one. I think that would secure their playoff spot then. Knights host the Steel Dogs. Knights will win that. And Lightning will host the Pitbulls. Lightning will win that. I think I might have said Lightning twice there, but yeah. Leeds and Milton Keynes to win against Sheffield and Bristol, respectively. So that concludes my predictions. One final thing I think to pick up on. Tigers could now finish 5th. So Tigers fans, which would you prefer? To be in the playoff group with Leeds and Hull? Or would you prefer to finish 6th and be in the playoff group with Milton Keynes and Swindon? Now, that's a tough question, isn't it? Selfishly, I'd prefer us to finish 6th because it gives a game against Swindon, so it's nice and close for me to get to. But I'll tell you what, if we finish 5th, okay, yeah, Leeds, really, really tough. They're going to make it. That is a guaranteed, that's one of the guaranteed 2 qualifiers from what I can see. Hull? Well, do you know what? We've had some reasonable results against them this season. Could do it. We could do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being wildly optimistic now, but yeah, no, we could do it. So, yeah, I'd take us finishing 5th. I'd be really happy with that. I think it'd give us a really good chance of qualifying for the Coventry Finals weekend. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my predictions for the upcoming week. Let me know, Tigers fans, whether you'd prefer us to finish 5th or 6th in the league. Know which group you think the Tigers would have the better chance of getting out of. That concludes this episode. I'll be back this time next week. Looking forward to anybody reaching out, getting in contact. Bye for now.